If you guys have been following along, you'll probably know that I'm not the biggest fan of Nikki Haley. Not because she's a woman, not because she's a woman of color. No, she's just a neocon, and I don't like that. I don't like any of her supporters either, most notably Ben Shapiro. Listen, I said it before and I'll say it again. Ben Shapiro is a mental Honda Civic racing against college school kids on a bicycle. He is nothing special, and people need to stop holding him up on a pedestal. With that said, bashing Ben Shapiro aside, he did something good, and we'll probably talk about it tomorrow. But anyways, this is all about Nikki Haley, and you know what? I haven't been very clear on why I don't like her, why I think that she's a neocon, other than the fact that you just take a look at any of her policies, and it clearly just welcomes you back to those warm, cuddly feelings of drone strikes, missile strikes, and neoconism, and Bush-ites, and she's a continuation of those policies and a bunch of hearkening back to the weak-kneed South Carolinian politicians like Lindsey Graham and those other wishy-washy types. I gotta break this down because she made a fucking hot take of the century here today, but to give you a little bit of background, As UN ambassador, Haley stoked conflict with Iran, declaring it would be essential to support Saudi Arabia's war effort in Yemen because the fight against Iranian aggression is a world's fight. Well, yeah, of course it's not. Saudi Arabia and the UAE's fight need not intervene in any Middle Eastern conflict. That is what made Donald Trump so great, unexpectedly great on a foreign policy side. Everybody kind of thought that might be his weakest position, but potentially the economy. But I would say that foreign policy was one of his biggest strengths. Because if you guys harken back to 2015, early 2016, North Korea was within a cunt hair of actually going to nuclear war with North Korea. What happened after that? Well, Trump met with Kim Jong-un in person. And after calling him Rocket Man a couple of times, he just used his strategy of, hey, look at our arsenal, look at yours, we could wipe you off the map in a fucking minute. So why don't we just sit down and talk this out? And they did. And the world's a better place because of it. Haley wasn't striking a hawkish pose simply because her job in the administration required it. After leaving office in 2019, she fully bought into hysterical propaganda that the U.S. needed troops in Syria indefinitely, and that's what Joe Biden has done right now. Sent all of those trucks into Syria about a week ago. Or else Turkey, a U.S. ally, would commit genocide. Yeah, of course. But yeah, for as vociferous as she is in her condemnation of Iran, yeah, she's doesn't think that big tech is that big of a deal. And if you just take a look around, motherfuckers are being yeeted left, right, and center. Combined Iran and Syria, that's a new place. Turkey and Russia pose virtually no direct risk to the ballistic liberties of Americans, at least as long as Washington can avoid its absurd impulse to ignite conflicts with them. As far as Americans' rights are concerned, tech monopolies and global corporate power pose a much greater threat. But while Haley may be fired up to go through with droning Houthis in Yemen, hopefully I pronounced that right, she is far more passive when talking about Google or Twitter. Just 2 months ago, Haley aggressively attacked the notion of curbing tech monopolistic powers to strip Americans of their rights. Censorship by tech companies, especially censorship of conservative opinions, violates the spirit of the law and the First Amendment, but more regulations would go too far in the other direction, putting bureaucrats and lawyers in charge of what gets said online. Either way, free speech loses. What a limp fucking wristed response. That immediately flies in the face of what Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz are trying to do. And I'm just going to allow you to make the decision on yourself. Would you rather go with a statement from somebody who says something like that? Or would you go to Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley, who are actually trying to fucking do something with the tyranny of big tech? And even if you don't use YouTube, or obviously you're using YouTube, if you don't use Twitter, if you don't use Facebook, you're thinking, what's the problem with big tech? Well, Google manipulates everything that you search for. It puts their recommended topics up top, and 95 to 98% of people use Google as their default web search. You have to go in and you have to make concerted effort changes in order to use something like DuckDuckGo or the other web searches that are just as good, if not better, because they don't use algorithmic manipulation. Pulling your data, selling your data, manipulating everything so that you're constantly bombarded with material you might find attractive and you're constantly being sold to. Because just as a quick aside here, just because an app or something is free, that doesn't mean that it's free. There's no such thing as a free lunch. You are the product being sold. Just remember that. Haley has a weak character, giving into the mob and bowing to political correctness. A tweet directly from Nikki Haley. We spent the last couple of days celebrating our son's graduation, turned on the news, and am heartbroken. It's important to understand that the death of George Floyd was personal and painful for many. In order to heal, it needs to be personal and painful for everyone. Or not. This was sent on May 30th. I think that was about the day, but it wasn't long enough to actually get all of the evidence, and that's what all the Democrats did. They immediately wanted to make big sweeping legislations. Defund the police. Oh, you need to ban chokeholds. Oh, everything is so bad. Don't look at the man behind the Wendy's trying to set it on fire. Fuck. Who would give a shit about that? Private property. Yeah, you can just rebuild it. But making a statement like it needs to be personal and painful for everyone. Yeah, immediately led to, not that anybody who was down at the riots would have followed Nikki Haley, but that ended up stoking the fire. How about after Charleston church shooting in 2015, Haley immediately capitulated to demands that the Confederate flag be removed from the backgrounds of South Carolina Capitol. Prior to the shooting and the resulting backlash, Haley had supported the flag. Yeah, oh, okay. Oh, I'm just going to go ahead and cower to anything that's happening right now. Oh, it'd be so terrible. Meanwhile, what was Trump doing up there? He was saying, no, people like the flag. Everybody agrees it's a flag. You know, people who used it before maybe not be the best people, you know, people who tried to break apart the country. But you got to understand the people have taken it back. It means something totally different. And if we get rid of the flag, what's next? We get rid of George Washington statues. We get rid of Abraham Lincoln statues. Where do we stop? But if it was up to Haley, if people just rioted loud enough, they'd just get rid of all of those statues. So she is a weakling. Haley's alleged moral turpitude is legendary. All right. Much has been written about the corrosive moral effect of Donald Trump has allegedly had on American politics. Complaining about Trump's tone or personal morals has always been a weak ploy. Yeah, sack up, look at the policies, stop being a fruit. Using by a ruling class whose corruption exceeds any moral bounds, but who use personal attacks to deflect from their own incompetence. Yeah, that guy talks nice, but I would rather have the guy that talks nice because I'm only a surface level idiot. Consequently, one would presume that the Republican establishment standard bearer would be the beacon of moral righteousness in an increasingly fallen world. We do not endorse such a cynical or Potemkin view of morality. But for argument's sake, how does Nikki measure up on that front? In an affidavit released this afternoon by FITS News, Will Folks, the controversial blogger and one-time spokesman for Governor Mark Sanford, provide new details about his claim that he had an inappropriate physical relationship, sexy, with GOP gubernatorial candidate Nikki Haley. She was successful in that. No, she wasn't. According to the affidavit, Haley and Folks shared their first kiss, while sitting at her parked car outside McDougal's restaurant and bar. The kiss reportedly took place in 2007. Adorable. Did they hold hands afterwards? Following the kiss, the pair allegedly drove in the parking lot behind the neighborhood center. Oh, is that where Joe Biden was fighting somebody? Emily Douglas Park, where they parked for approximately 45 minutes. Then we slid into the back of her Cadillac SUV so Rep. Haley could climb on top of me. This is getting too steamy for YouTube. Fitz blogger says the relationship with Haley ended in June 2007. Previously released phone records from Folks showed that he and Haley spoke 17 times between June 2nd and August 30th. That's not a whole hell of a lot, like twice a week, 3 times a week. An August 25th incoming call was received by Folks at 2:24 a.m. and lasted 146 minutes. Most of the other calls were made at 10 p.m. at night, even lasted longer than an hour, and on the August 7th call lasting 180 minutes. But she's going to go ahead and moralize to the rest of society about how bad Trump's speech pattern is. Isn't that terrible? Yeah, that's just a short list of why I don't really like her, because she's a hypocrite. Okay, I don't care about any of this stuff. Okay, if she wants to fuck somebody who's a fitness blogger, fucking suck his testosterone right out of his crank. I don't give a shit. But if you can't properly assess what the American people are after when it comes to things like big tech, war in the Middle East, if you can't properly figure that out with a changing and evolving Republican Party, you have no claim to its highest office. I'm just Fucking should go without saying. But dumbass formed a PAC because she's going to make sure that we're going to take back the House in 2022 with her appointees. With her PAC that she formed that isn't 100% just a shell game in order to make her run in 2024. I can't wait for her to get destroyed on the stage by Donald Trump, who a lot of people, I don't know, maybe it was because the defense was just bludgeoning everybody over the head with the impeachment trials for the past couple of days, or because Trump's legal team, outside of showing for about 3/4 of his presentation, was fucking atrocious. Today probably changed that for a lot of people, but they thought, oh geez, maybe Donald Trump won't run again because they're just going to go ahead and rehash this. But after today, they pretty much blew that out of the water, so I think he's going to be back. I never really wavered on that opinion, and I just can't wait for Trump to get up on stage, look over at her, and just destroy her 2015 primary style. Former United Nations Ambassador Nikki Haley chose a seasoned Republican establishment operative to lead her Stand for America PAC, which was established in the middle of January, is used as a vehicle for launching Haley's heavily speculated 2024 presidential run. That would be, okay, listen, I was thinking about this as well when I seen the article that we're going to get to last. Nikki Haley is just the Stacy Abrams of the right, okay? What office has Stacy Abrams held? Nothing. She ran unsuccessfully for a governorship. What position has Nikki Haley ran for and won? I'll wait. She ran for governorship of South Carolina. Did she win? No. And then she was appointed to the ambassadorship of the United Nations. Outside of that, she's totally useless, and she's trying to reform the Republican Party back to her own vision of what it should be. And I'm just making sure that everything's all nice and clean because I don't care about Nikki Haley whatsoever. I think that she's just going to be a thorn in everybody's side, kind of like how the Lincoln Project was, and it's probably going to end just as tragically. Stand for America claims to be concentrated on defending founding ideas and American values. Fitz News noted that Haley's organization will now be led by former National Republican Senatorial Committee political director Betsy Anki, who was recognized by Politico as one of the operatives on its power list. Anki previously worked for Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, old flippy floppy Ron Johnson, who will not be running again in 2022. I don't think. Or is he one of the ones that's highly speculated because he's old as shit, but not as old as Leahy? I don't think I mentioned this before, but oh my god, during the impeachment trial, the motherfucker's got a surgeon mask on, or sounds like the oldest man on earth. Just pick a little clip wherever he's talking. It's fucking atrocious. And former Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner. Additionally, Anki is a decorated campaign manager. Back in 2016, Anki was named Campaign Manager of the Year. Whoop-de-fucking-do. And should have been Steve Bannon because he actually ran the only successful campaign, the most successful, by the American Association of Political Consultants for the work she did with Ron Johnson. Aw, how adorable. Anki boasted about her work that she did and contributed to Donald Trump's razor-thin victory in 2016. We are focused on winning back the House and Senate in 2022, Haley said when confirmed Anki's hiring to Axios. Betsy is strong, experienced, and determined as I am to recruit new voices. Wait, what? Supporting strong conservatives and grow our party, but you're hiring somebody who was working in 2016. How's that a new voice? Anyways, according to the Axios report, Anki revealed that Haley's new group would play an active role in the GOP races in the upcoming future. Anki and company will likely be doing everything possible to de-Trumpify the Republican Party in a subtle manner. We can go ahead and get rid of that whole subtle manner because Nikki Haley today breaks from Trump in interview about potential run for president. This bitch is making it and laying everything out on the line, and it's gonna end spectacularly terribly because you won't believe who she's trying to hitch her wagon to. Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley in a recent interview broke from Trump criticizing his actions in relation to the January 6th incident at the Capitol. This bitch cannot fucking read a room whatsoever. Right now, there is more support for Trump than there's been in a long time, especially coming off of today's. I'm looking forward to see what the support levels are after this, because once the Senate debates and then they have their vote and realize that the supermajority is not going to be there, Trump will only just continue to get more and more powerful as the Biden administration continues to slip more and more into different scandals and not follow through on any of the promises that they're making and making the country worse off because of it. Haley, in a lengthy profile interview with Politico, It's funny how these neocon creatures decide to give interviews to mainstream media outlets focused on her former boss and possible run for presidency in 2024, said she does not believe Trump will run for federal office again in the wake of January 6th Capitol breach. And because you said that there, Trump will be more inclined to do it because he never forgives and never forgets. I don't think he can. He's fallen so far. Again, read the room, dummy. Haley has all but confirmed a presidential run for office in 2024 in the profile by Political's Tim Alberta. Don't besmirch our good name. She was repeatedly questioned about Trump's role in what happened on January 6th and if she agreed with what her former boss did after the November election. Of course she didn't. Literally, the bitch said word zero about anything that happened post-election up to January 6th. She just kept her neocon mouth shut. Democrats, legacy media, and some Republicans have criticized the former president for not conceding on November 4th after mainstream media outlets called the election for Joe Biden. And then Twitter immediately started to put up all of the election tags on any tweet that seemed vaguely questioning anything that was going on. Since Time came out immediately and said that the election wasn't stolen, it was just fortified. So maybe that's what Nikki Haley's claiming. Trump's legal team said that these states had challenged election law and approval, the state's legislature, or had other legal issues and were sworn documents via testimony from numerous people who signed affidavits and witnessed voter fraud. But with that said, I understand the president. I understand that generally to his core, he believes he was wronged. This is not him making it up. She equated his belief, you could just see where she's waffling. She equated his belief about the election results to a person who is colorblind. What a fine woman. There's nothing that you're ever going to do that's going to make him feel he legitimately lost the election. He's got a big bully pulpit, one that you wouldn't help him protect, by the way. How does he have a big bully pulpit? Let's take that phrase at face value. If you can't use any outlet to get your message there, and you would do nothing to combat that. I would say that he has very limited outreach at the moment. He should be responsible with it. Yes, capitulate, because that's what you know best. That in the backseat of a Cadillac. Policy, Haley aligns with her former boss as she has been an advocate for Trump's America First agenda and believes being hard on the Chinese Communist Party, but not too hard because she doesn't want to make too many enemies. I'm also disappointed in the fact that despite his loyalty and friendship he had with Mike Pence, he would do that to him. Haley continued, I'm disgusted by it. She started twirling her hair at this point. He went down a path he shouldn't have, and we shouldn't have followed him, and we shouldn't have listened to him, she said, and we can't let that ever happen again. Let that line stick in your head forever. You shouldn't have followed your president. You shouldn't have listened to him. You shouldn't have followed him. And don't ever do that again. So yeah, what does that scream? Well, at least she's ideologically pure. She sticks to her guns and there's no change in her mind on that. War in the Middle East. Neocon heritage. Capitulating to the left's ever-increasing tactics of canceling literally everything. And not standing up for your right for free speech. I don't think that is somebody who should be president in 2024. I don't think that is somebody who should be putting their primary candidates or even their candidates ahead in 2022. I just think that she's so terribly off and her PAC is going to fail spectacularly. Because you can even see her messaging in the related article that the Epoch Times has here. 2020, the year socialism went mainstream. No, Bernie Sanders has a much larger support base in 2016, and then he immediately cucked out. That's when it would have been mainstream. So I don't know, hopefully I produced enough examples to show you why I'm not a Nikki Haley fan. Not if you're thinking along the same lines that I do, or if you're just a freedom-minded, small R Republican, small L libertarian, somewhere in the middle, somewhere just a leave me the fuck alone type person, that you wouldn't take Nikki Haley's opinion as far as you could throw it. Somebody that Ben Shapiro considers to be his spirit animal. Yeah, she's going to get blown out in 2022. And then in 2024, if she manages to limp her ass onto that primary stage, it'll be glorious. I look forward to it. And with that said, guys, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.